Hello, this video about what if the sun suddenly turned into a black hole. If the sun suddenly turned into a black hole, the world would not end in a fiery cataclysm. It would be a gradual, cold, and strangely silent fade into darkness. The initial moment, a silent disappearance. The first thing to understand is that a black hole is not a cosmic vacuum cleaner. A black hole with the mass of the sun would have the same gravitational pull. So, if the sun were to instantly collapse into a black hole, which is physically impossible, but let's go with the hypothetical, Earth and the other planets would continue to orbit it just as they do now. The change would be profound, but not instantaneous. The light we see from the sun is actually a little over 8 minutes old, so we would have no idea anything was wrong until that light and all of its heat simply vanished. The last rays of sunlight would be a beautiful but final farewell. The stars would immediately become visible in the sky, a sight that would fill us with both awe and dread. As the light disappears, so does photosynthesis. Within hours, plants would begin to die, and the oxygen cycle would come to a halt. The world's temperature would plummet. At first, it would feel like a cold winter night, but within a few days, the global temperature would drop below freezing. The oceans would begin to ice over, and the atmosphere would slowly start to condense. The new solar system. Without the constant energy from the sun, Earth would become a frozen, lifeless rock. The other planets, too, would become cold, dark relics. Mercury, Venus, and Mars would be just as cold as Earth, and the gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn would no longer reflect light, turning them into invisible giants in the cosmic void. The Earth's orbit, while stable, would not be a source of comfort. The new black hole would be incredibly small, only about 6 kilometers in diameter, which is tiny compared to the Sun's 1.4 million kilometer diameter. This means the universe would essentially be empty, with a single point of unimaginable density where a giant star used to be. The seasons would cease to exist. The concept of day and night would be meaningless, as there would be no source of light to define them. Humanity's struggle for survival. This is where the human story begins. Without light and heat, our planet would become a giant tomb. Humanity would face its greatest challenge. The first few days would be chaos. Power grids would fail, communication would break down, and people would be left in the dark, both literally and figuratively. Those with access to geothermal energy, nuclear power plants, or vast stockpiles of fuel would have a chance. People would flee to the deep underground, seeking refuge in subway tunnels, caves, and specially built bunkers. Cities like Tokyo, London, and New York, with their complex underground networks, would become new, self-sufficient arks. The challenge would be not just staying warm, but growing food. Hydroponics and other forms of controlled agriculture would become essential. Scientists would work tirelessly to develop new sources of energy and food that don't rely on the sun. The human race would become a subterranean species living in perpetual darkness, forever cut off from the stars they once marveled at. The long-term consequences. In the long run, the Earth's orbit would slowly decay due to the black hole's Hawking radiation, a theoretical process where black holes emit particles and slowly evaporate over an incredibly long time. However, this process would take trillions of years, far longer than the universe has even existed. For all practical purposes, our orbit would be stable. Life, if it managed to survive, would evolve. Perhaps a new form of bioluminescent life would emerge in the oceans. The deep-sea ecosystems, which already thrive without sunlight, would be the last bastions of life on Earth. The question is whether humanity could adapt to this new reality. Would our descendants still remember the warmth of the sun, the blue sky, and the beauty of a sunset? Or would those things become mythical tales passed down through generations of people who have only ever known a cold, black universe? In the end, the death of the sun wouldn't be a dramatic explosion. It would be a slow, quiet, and terrifying shift. We wouldn't be incinerated, but we would be frozen and left to drift through the cosmos on a ship with no destination, fueled only by the fading memories of a star that once gave us life.